The following is a list of Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held for a demand of income. The demand of income is being made against the family as well as through fraudulent submissions of documents alleging that they are caring for the people in some sort of long-term care fashion. These Moors have been kidnapped literally off the street by employees of various corporations that are guised as counties, cities, towns, township, boroughs. These names that we have all been mentally conditioned to believe are government are not. They are exactly what they say they are. They are municipal corporations, and as such, if you do the research, you will find that they are foreign corporations on American soil. Therefore, they do not have standing nor jurisdiction to make a demand of income or even bring a claim against the Aboriginal indigenous people or any people on American soil, this making their actions criminal. However, as Moors, we must bring these crimes to the forefront via civil complaints against these unalienable constitutional treaty-secured rights of the people, Aboriginal indigenous Moors of this land. If the municipal corporation has been provided, then we reference that along with the union state. If we don't have the municipal corporation where the employee works that actually did the kidnapping, then we just reference the union state that is bound and obligated to protect the people from foreign and domestic invasion. This list comprises Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held hostage by employees of various corporations on American soil, which is a violation of the American Constitution 1791, and it is a treaty violation, being that we are talking about Moorish Americans, Aboriginal indigenous to this land, who have been kidnapped by employees of foreign corporation on American soil. This making this an international issue because you have two nations with one nation warring against another. Therefore, this is an international issue. If you have a family member near or far within your immediate family or one of the family that you know and you would like them added to this list, please send an email to mhhseyeswideopen@gmail.com. In the subject line, put Kidnap More, and please provide us with their free national appellation, the municipal corporation that the employee is operating through that kidnapped them, along with the union state that this corporation is in purview to. We start off with our sister, Abka Ray Bay, kidnapped through a joint venture between Memphis and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee, Daoud Il under the purview of Arkansas, Amir Muslimin Il, Kusu Ra Kush Bey under the purview of Missouri, Asar Patah Amen Ra Bey under the purview of Ohio, Jeremy Paler Il, Terry Thorne Bay, J. McCall Brooks Bay, Joseph Kanaday Il, Kush Amir Bunch Il, Emmanuel Billings Bay, Yassin Khalik Alamin Il, Michael Curry Bay, all under the purview of North Carolina, Noble Crisco Il under the purview of New Jersey, Messiah Aziz Il and Crystal Il, both kidnapped through a joint venture between Mercer, Freehold, and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Still waiting on an update regarding baby Patricia, or the baby of Patricia Bay, kidnapped by the Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Eldridge Terra Fisher Ill and Marti Sivion Ill under the purview of Indiana, Solomon Ill Bay and Mumi Abu Bay under the purview of Texas, William Barrett Ill under the purview of Virginia, Che Ray Bay under the purview of West Virginia, Thomas Lee Bay under the purview of California, Victor Eduardo Avalle Juarez Ill, kidnapped by Harlem Corporation under the purview of Georgia, Natural Tohudi Ill, kidnapped by Benner Corporation under the purview of Pennsylvania, Brian George Mills Bay, kidnapped by Blades Corporation under the purview of Florida, Judah Ill and Anwar Ill, kidnapped by Philadelphia Corporation under the purview of Pennsylvania, Ramor Ill, Amada Ill, both kidnapped by Chester Corporation under the purview of Pennsylvania, Iman Ill, kidnapped by Lynchburg Corporation under the purview of Virginia, and Khalid Albert Ill, kidnapped by Las Vegas Corporation under the purview of Nevada. Thank you very much. Islam and welcome to Morris Heritage History School. Islam and welcome to, I'm sorry, MHHS Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anna Ida L., along with my co-host, Ms. Raim Alice L.
Peace and love, Anna E. Peace and love to all the Moors. Thankful to be back. And it's all one and the same. Feel like we everywhere, right? You know, feel like we everywhere. It's all the same. Good to be back.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All righty. And Ralph Mariah Bay.
Islam, peace and love to all.
Islam. And I am looking for Cujo. Cujo, if you're there. There you go. Islam, Cujo Azwael.
Islam, peace and love to all the Moors.
Islam, peace and love. All right. Let's see, before we get started, the chat room is open. Big shout out to the family listening over near the corporate construct known as Great Britain, also South Africa, Japan, the Netherlands, in Islam to Brother Albacet, Bangladesh, Islam to the Moors listening over in France, near the corporate construct known as France, Islam, the Philippines, Panama, Barbados, Islam to the Moors down there in Barbados, let's see, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, let's see, Cuba, Brazil, Mexico, and two families we have yet to connect with that are near these various corporate constructs. They are not on the land. They are not the land. They are corporations on the land, but they are not the land. So you're never at any municipal corporation or corporation at that. You're near it. Never at or in, but near. All right? I don't care what they're calling themselves. And don't think just because you go and find the indigenous name that you're still correct. You're not. That's still a corporation. So big shout out to the family listening via the internet feed. Big shout out to the family listening via the telephone lines, calling in every week, filling up the phone lines before the broadcast even begins. Peace and love to you all. I think tomorrow we will not be the National Theater. It will be just a listening event. So make sure and tune in tomorrow. Class still begins at 7:30. It'll just be via Blog Talk Radio. And this Thursday, Sons of Allah, 9 p.m. Y'all ready?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. Oh, my gosh. I can't wait to let y'all have it.
All right, so y'all heard. Sons of Allah is ready. Everybody better tune in, 9 o'clock on Thursday.
Yeah.
One question I wanted to ask, did we ever take a tally of the corporate entities that kidnap the most people?
Well, I can only tell you based on who has provided information, based on what has been provided to me. North
based
Carolina.
on what we announced, I mean.
Did you say North Carolina?
North
Wow.
Carolina.
North Carolina,
The Municipal Corporations near North Carolina are just scooping up Moors left and right. They are so busy mad, but I think their activity probably has slowed down considerably since everybody and their mother has started suing them in the federal court.
All right.
Right.
So that has probably slowed down considerably. Meanwhile, you got Moors who are being held in these prisons that they're still trying to get out. And then those Moors that have gone into the prison, the information has spread. And so you got Moors in the prison who want to, declare their nationality, or I should say proclaim their nationality, because declaring it, it happens in the mind. So, and you can proclaim any way. I mean, you can do that in a number of different ways. However,
you mean declare?
Proclaim.
You mean they can declare? Oh, well, the proclaiming they have to probably. Yeah.
Saying now, declaring is
All
just
right.
to be clear about it.
That's
Be clear about what your nationality is, and that nobody. The one thing that I still get why the prophet said, if you do nothing, declare your nationality. He's saying if you don't do nothing else, you better be clear that your nationality comes from your mama. I can't nobody take it away. I can't nobody give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm just ad-libbing, but basically that's why he said if you don't do nothing else, you declare your nationality. Be clear for yourself, because there are thieves out there who will come and enter into your mind if you allow them and steal your thought and your comprehension.
Yeah.
So be very vigilant. So let's see. I'm trying to remember. I think that was all the announcements. So today's broadcast is as a result of just, thinking, just looking out and thinking and asking myself the question, why? Why? Why is it everything people do is tracked? And by municipal corporations. Everywhere you go, you are asked for a birth certificate. Why? You're standing right there. A driving instrument. Why? In your own property. A Social Security insurance policy number. Why? Are you contributing to the payments of premium? When you marry, you are told you must go and register and get a certificate of marriage, i.e. permission. Why? When you go to open a bank account, you're asked for some, if not all, of the previously mentioned items. Why?
you're standing right there. Are they implying you're lying about what you say? And if so, who is there to counterclaim what you say? All of this comes from municipal corporations. Even the bank activity, since all the national banks were repealed, and the 1913 Banking Act was not renewed. If you research, you will find all banks, so-called schools, and hospitals are agencies of municipal corporations who have been either granted, chartered, patented, or mortgaged the use of the land that they then pass on to people who believe, due to lack of information, that they are buying. However, remember, inheritance is unalienable and inalienable. Therefore, it is only the use that is being bought. Nobody owns this land. I don't care what piece of paper they come and present to you. That's why, so badly, to get you away from the lineal descent line, and they do it in all manner of ways, all of them designed to trick. But the prophet said, study, study, study. Why? Why did he say this? He said not just to study, study, study because some of your own wearing turbans and fez will come along and put you back in slavery. He said study, 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 study because with your studying, you're going to start thinking. And if he can get, and if you can just think a little bit, you will free yourself. So, sorry, I have to say that we got to stop being punks. All of us. We got to be like our brethren around the world, ready to die for what we believe, what we know. We have to take that position because if you don't, they will push you around. That's why we got to read. We got to watch that movie V for Vendetta over and over and over again to see the message of the movie. The message of the movie is the message of life, the message of every principle. You must root fear out of you because as long as you have fear operating somewhere inside of, there will be those who will pick up on your fear and they will act accordingly. But when you have studied and you have so immersed yourself in this information, all fear goes away because now you know. Can't nobody tell you. Can't nobody give you nothing. Can't nobody take nothing away because you know. You knew not from the outer studying because the outer studying brought you to the inner studying where things just came up from inside of you and you knew it. And people will come along and say, well, can you show me proof? Don't need it. I can tell from the beat of my soul that I am correct. I don't care what you want to do, but is where I am, and I'm not budging. Now, in order to get there, everybody is having problems. These are not new. All of these problems that people are having, you're not having it because you declared your nationality. You was having them before you declared your nationality. Stop blaming it on, I'm a Moor, so now everybody's tracking me, they're following me. I gotta duck there. Wait, stop it. Put the fear away. Oh, I can't use my phone that way because they're tracking me. So what? They was tracking you before. They was tracking you when you had a hard line coming into your house. You wasn't freaking out then, traveling in your car. They got all kinds of tracking devices in the car these days. What you gonna do? Not travel? Stop. We gotta stop being punks. And we gotta study and we gotta know. You ain't got no business tracking me like that. I have a right to my privacy. I'm a private person. I'm not a public servant. I'm not, and if I am, I need to know who I'm a public servant. What corporation am I a public servant for, and where is my check? Because I ain't got paid if I'm a public servant. Public servants supposed to get paid, have benefits. I ain't got none of that. We have to start challenging these to a bank and fill out an application. Don't put none. They tell you that they can't discriminate against your age. So why are you putting it down on the paper? It's private and confidential. They tell you, well, you don't have to put it on a piece of paper because that's your right, but I need to see your driving instrument. Doesn't the driving instrument have your age on there? That's why you don't have it. Even if you got it, you don't have it. You're not required to have it. All right? But we need the marriage contract. Everything is tracked. People are running around here. They're getting married. They're not even asking, well, why? Why do I need to go and fill out a piece of paper with a municipal corporation? They have no business in my life. None whatsoever. The prophet said, he said, go back. He mentioned the 1774 Constitution. The 1774 Constitution kicked out a lot of information. It brought us to the treatment. It brought us to the original slaves and how they were being treated. Or when they came over here. But there, they were always the slaves. We were enslaved. Our enslavement is new. They were created to be slaves. That was their purpose for being created. But we were enslaved. And we was enslaved not by modern Europeans. We were enslaved because of our own selfishness. And we can turn that around. That's what this is a breakfast fight. Because the fight is not with foreigners. The fight is with ourselves. And when we turn and reflect on ourselves and put down all of that negativity, whatever shape or form it may be manifesting itself in, it will be over by breakfast. Because it's up to us. Everybody is yelling, oh, when they going to come save me? When is the United Nations going to save me? When is my people going to save me? Where's my nation? All of this foolishness. I need somebody to write this for me, do this for me. You need to study. And don't go opening doors that you ain't prepared to walk through. That means do things that you have not first studied thoroughly, and you know exactly what you're dealing with, and you have a plan and a backup plan. That's what that means. Because a lot of the things that are happening, I'm not saying, I feel that they're happening because too many people are challenging that you haven't prepared yourself for the challenge. Some of the challenges that I'm reading coming from people are unnecessary challenges. Like you want to flex your power. I'm a war. This is my ancestral state. Let me go flex my muscles as these modern Europeans. That's the wrong muscle to be flexing. You need to flex the mental muscle and stay in the house and catch up. Because I want to say this, and I want people to be so clear. If you think, listen to me carefully, if you think these modern Europeans don't know who you are, if you think they don't know about the war, if you think they don't know our customs and our culture, you are fooling yourself. The only people on this don't know the customs and culture of the Moors is the Moors.
Because they certainly have used it. They certainly have.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
But aside from the fact that some of the places that they go to today, the employees aren't trained to know. They may not know. But when you get down to the brass tacks of functions, civil functions, lawful functions, political functions, yes, not only do they know, they have to know. They just don't train the employees that you interface with in some cases and places, and because we have not exercised it, not many know, but they know now.
That's correct. Now, let me just say this, because I've been here a while. I've seen some things. Tell you that many of these municipal corporations, they were established by Moors. They were run by modern Europeans. There was a time when you would walk into a municipal corporation, was never a melanated Asiatic being in there ever. And if they were cleaning the toilets and mopping the floor. That's it. Mm-hmm. Now, you go into these establishments and you see Asiatic people at the counter. They talking about they the clerk or they the magistrate or or they the attorney for the corporation. And they are the ones that sometimes don't know nothing about the very culture that they are imposing on their people, or I should say the science. They don't know the science, some of them, that they're imposing on their own people. But it doesn't change.
They know Jesus, though.
They know Jesus.
Oh, yeah, they know Jesus. They know Jesus. Oh, yeah.
They don't really know him. They don't really know that.
Some of them know. Some of them don't know. But the ones that do know, they do not care about you because they done sold out the family, and that's why they're in that position. So don't think you're going to go in there and pull their coattails and tell them about their heritage. They can probably tell you a little bit about your heritage that you don't know. But they don't know enough to come out from under that mental slavery, because just like those who were with me then are with me now. So if they in the municipal corporation, chances are they wasn't with the prophet then. So leave them alone and work on yourself, because if you're up in a municipal corporation, you probably got some studying to do. And that's why you're there. That's the lesson. But the prophet says, study, study, study. And, every day I see just how enormous that one word repeated 3 times really is. And I would highly suggest that people come down out of the rafters of wanting to be Mr. It or Mrs. It, and going after like sales, like big ticket items. Come down out of the rafters, come back down to earth, and study these little these common things that are on your plate right now, because people should be studying up on this driving instrument, but not falling for it. People should be studying up on this birth certificate document, but not falling for it. People should be studying up on this whole Social Security Act, but not falling for it. The marriage certificate, going into a bank, just doing the basic necessities of life, which all fall under liberty, by the way. The basic necessities of life fall under the definition of liberty. And the Moroccan Constitution, 1791, was written so that no people on this continent would that liberties would ever be violated by any corporation anywhere. But we have succumbed to the mental programming of the municipal corporations. We have succumbed to the mental programming of municipal corporations under the guise of their Christian crusade, and that don't have nothing to do with you being in church. All right? It's the way you think and the decisions you make and the thoughts that you reject, even when it is truth that comes to you. These modern Europeans, they got us all twisted up, and the whole twist is a lie. There's no part of the lie that you can use to free yourself. You need to just dig the whole lie out and throw it away, because you can't use none of it. None of a lie can ever be good for you. You have to throw it all away. That Dooley has mentioned some amazing books on the original slaves of this colony that today people think is a landmass. They're so blunt with the language, with the message, with what was going on with these slaves of the Americas, which were not the Moors, branded, Negro, colored, or black. Those were modern Europeans. And you know what's so good for you mentioned the Constitution of 1774, because if you go back and you study that time frame between 1492 and 1791, what you're going to find out is what you people are experiencing today from municipal corporations was imposed by British Moors on the original slaves, modern Europeans. And so when they box you in with all of this foolishness, the only way you're going to get out of that box is if you study. You got to know the law. You got to know their history. You got to know your heritage. And but most of all, you got to purge yourself of that ego, because that's what's going to take you out. Not your brethren, your sister, or modern your ego is what's going to take you out, because that's what's taking us out right now, left and right. All of these wonderful words that we're saying, these wonderful classes, these wonderful lectures, we sit down and breaking bread with you, and we building every day. None of that is going to help you if you don't root out that ego that is running you into the ground. So I will end by saying that one more time. I would highly suggest you take stock of your surroundings and study like your life depends on it. Islam, I yield the floor.
Islam.
Islam.
You know, yeah, go ahead, man.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that it is imperative, and everything Anna E. just emphasized is definitely imperative to study. And, I just found myself, whereas I've been, we all do the study, to that fourth study, which is studying yourself. And that's basically like a very great science, if you will, because, the introspection level that's inherent with that studying of yourself and how deep that goes, just being connected with nature, period, as a living being, and realizing you're connected with everything, that you have to also observe nature, because that's also a part of studying yourself, and that also connects back to natural law. But I wanted to add on something, because Anna E. mentioned about the marriage, and we know these are all basically Roman instruments, if you will. But what flashed back to my mind was when we went to that plantation, Shirley's plantation in Virginia, on one of the plaques, it said that they got this, one of these European women got the house through marriage. And we know that this is not their land, and it made me think or want to inquire further into the fact that so many Moors have been cheated through that instrument itself, the marriage documents and license designed by these Europeans or for the continuance of European law, whether they guised it as English law, because we know the English came into North America heavy in the part that they call Virginia, and the fact that there's always diversity between us. And, it's sad to say that there's some Moors who still have Negro mentalities who are, putting on the Moors garb and speaking as if they're teaching Moor science. And no disrespect to the forum and the format that Noble Drew did lay out, as a genius idea, if you will, to assist, not the be-all, end-all, if you will, themselves back uplifted. But it's like when we study ourselves, and I've asked myself this question like 3 times this week already, not that I don't know, but I keep it fresh in my mind with that study of self, with all of this information we've been studying and absorbing. What does it mean to be a Moor? What does it mean to know that you're American, I'm Moroccan? Like, beyond just being able to say that and quote that, what science and self, and territorial jurisdiction, personam jurisdiction, when it comes to the diversity or international law, what does that really mean? Because that's the 4th part of studying yourself, too. It still is enveloped in law. And there's a lot of people, who Moors, dirty Moors, etc., who are acting as if those Moors who are taking their path and endeavoring to be free and to determine their own political status, because you got to remember, never forget that you can only be ruled by consent, right? Like you were saying, people have to stop being punks about the fact and really realize the law is stern. Like, so when you hear people saying that, you can't have an ID or whatever unless it comes from the Moor Science Temple of America, incorporated, whatever. Cool, Joe, no disrespect. We know what you're about. I'm just saying, in all sincere Moors who are seeing what they need to do. But for those who are saying that, Moors who are endeavoring, because you got to remember, we can't speak all of this nationality and say we recognize what Noble Drew Ali brought and not recognize that we have the international right to be, not subject to that jurisdiction of the Roman venues, of the municipal corporations, etc. Like, because it's written in law that they can't rule without your consent, and if they ever become too oppressive, etc., that you have the right to alter or abolish it, even if you were subject to the jurisdiction. But something that's imperative, is Article 3 of the Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People, wherein it states that indigenous people have the right to self-determination. And by virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. That being said, meaning that if indigenous peoples, if you know that you're Moor, you know that you're American, and you know that you're connected to this land, the planet Earth, period, as the first people, that being Aboriginal, indigenous, you have the right. It's an international law. If you do recognize your nationality, if you recognize it, going back to that self-study, that, you have the right to freely determine your political status. So when you hear Dirty Moors talking about, you got to come through the Moor Science Temple, and I'm not knocking any of those, experiences or whatnot. But as if there's no other way, as if Moors did establish, like it wasn't a Moor first and foremost who established the Moor Science Temple of America, Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And pardon me, I have to say this because this is what's on my mind. Is that it's like, you know, that's a disrespect to the lineage or the heritage, as you were speaking of earlier. You know, so when they say that that is the only way, my thing is, all due respect, if we're talking more science, if I come to a more science temple, I want to know where's the scale at? Where's the level at? Where's the compass at? Are these tools that we use in the workshop of the mind available readily to lend out? Where's the telescopes at? So don't talk more science and what is and what is not more science if these tools are not in the temple that you're saying that you're summoning the people to. Not that you can't still be dealing with more science, but how deep are you dealing with it? You know what I mean? Because these are tools that should be laid out clearly as it is in the Circle 7. And not even on no lodge, nothing. These are more, this a part of more science, you know. But I say that to say that, you know, when people try to say you have to be subject to the municipal corporations or that you have to be subject to the U.S.A. jurisdiction, that's not true because it's all about consent, you know. And if you recognize your nationality and if you recognize that you're Aboriginal, Indigenous, then you should also recognize the fact that you have the right to exercise freely your political status. So, you know, yeah, we have ancestors that came from the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, but don't tell me all that and you don't recognize that there's a divine authority that was passed down with heritage, right, and still correlating with history, but passed down through heritage, as Anna E. pointed out, that that's just what it is, you know. So for anybody to say that the only way to actually be a Moor is to come through the temple, that's a dishonor to the teachings itself that Noble Drew Ali left, because he was talking about descent, not clubism, and that's a fact. That is a actual fact. So thing is, you know, it's like Christians. We know politically that Christians are the European pilgrims, collectively, if you will. These are the Christians. They have the institution YMCA or, you know, YWCA. That's a Christian institution. But it don't mean it's not Christians if they don't attend that institution. You know what I mean? It's just a Christian or European institution. It does not determine on its own merit the Christian's nationality. You get what I'm saying? Like, so when a nation has an institution, the institution never supersedes the nation. And with that being said, you know, it's a lot of responsibility with the people. But I also wanted to add this too, and I'm going to yield the floor. I mean, you was mentioning about the tracking devices. I think one of the most powerful cases, at least 5 top 10 cases that was handed down from the Supreme Court this century about the tracking devices is Jones versus United States. It was at the very end of 2011, beginning of 2012, in that time frame, Jones versus United States. And this was a brethren who had owned a club out in so-called D.C., and they was tracking him. You know, they had a warrant that expired in 10 days, and they for them to put the tracking device on his vehicle. On his automobile. And they didn't do it within the 10 days. They installed the tracking device on the 11th day, meaning that they didn't have a warrant to do that. The warrant had expired, and therefore they didn't have a warrant to track him. So all of the quote-unquote drugs that they found, even though they found all of that on them, they had to throw out that case because the procedure or the process of them obtaining that evidence was unconstitutional, showing you that due process of law is paramount. So, you know, the milk expired on the 21st, By the 22nd, they're selling you bad milk. And that's basically the same thing that happened with that warrant. Is it expired, therefore it was no good. Even though they did have one, it expired. So they was operating on the void warrant, and I think that that's a good case law to study, Jones versus United States, as far as it relates to the Fourth Amendment, and it must have a warrant. And with that, I yield the floor for now. Islam.
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 Islam. It's very interesting. You know, as you said, there's so much chatter going back and forth. But we already know that the prophet had left a revelation or a prophecy that the temples would be cleaned up. So we give honors to all those who are doing what was meant to be done in those institutions. That would be you, Cujo. You hear me?
Islam. I hear you.
All right. But it's also interesting, Anna E., we were talking earlier, and I think it might be a good time because you are making the analysis of how people are, don't really understand what nationality is, etc., like that, and how, most important is how all of these institutions that we're looking at, be it schools, be it what they call a court, is not a court, what they call their government establishment. This has really messed up the heads of our people when you were talking about the fear or the incorrect information, etc., like that. It has really, really messed up the heads of our people in terms of who is who and what is what. And I had gotten an email, remember, where a person was asking me, what do we need to nationalize to if the Moorish nation doesn't have any money? So I knew where is the Moorish dollar? So I knew right away that the person has never looked up the word money, let alone. Right, I'm trying to find it. Let me. I've got it.
That is a gross example of lack of study. And I'm not saying that to beat nobody up. I'm just saying, look, the prophet said there will come a day when you a $20 bill, that would be a Federal Reserve note, on the ground and you will step over it. Now, knowing the prophet always, everything he said would meet wherever you are. But, and that's the brilliance of the prophet, but whatever he said was said from a very high place. It was not said from a low vibration place. All right? So we have to really look at that and ask ourselves, what was he trying to say? What he was trying to say, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, thinking from a higher place, that when we truly understood, comprehended, under, on, and around, it's in our blood, it's in our blood. It's like so embedded in us. When we really understand that our inheritance as either an heir or beneficiary of an heir, that's when you will put these Federal Reserve notes down. You will not be chasing after no commercial transactions. You will not in any way, shape, or form ever confuse birthright theft with a commercial transaction. That's the day you will put all that down. You will step over it.
Can you say that again? Can never confuse birthright with commercial transactions, because we have people that have studied, or to some degree, I guess, studied the commercial transaction situation, which is what these people, the modern Europeans, operate from, because as the sister said on our Standing on Law yesterday, it said so eloquently when she was reviewing the Havana Convention notes that You know, these modern Europeans came at French Cuba, right? They came with the intent of talking about bringing corporations and trying to, you know, claim land and like that, right? And then by the end of, or somewhere in the middle of the whole thing, their whole intent changed to commerce because that's all they have. That is all they have. And for Moors not to recognize the difference and make the distinction is the travesty, because that's all they have is to work in commerce. And we're not saying not to know commerce or not, you know, not to do merchandise, because we're the original merchants, and there's a distinct difference. So we're not saying that, but to wrap up your birthrights into that, which is what they do, like they enter into, you know, that arena because that's all they've got in front of them, and without recognizing the distinction between government and corporation and commerce. There is no distinction made. It's missing. It's void. And so this is why you'll have people that will send emails similar to what this guy is saying. What nation do we not? How can I'm trying to find it. I can't believe it. What nation can we? What nation? The nation has to have money. You know, whoever taught you don't know what they're talking about, and you don't know what you're talking about. And I said, I know that you think that, but if you do a little study, and have you looked up the word money? Have you looked up dollar? Probably not, because they're not going to do that, because they're not, you know, it's the exorcism that needs to happen before you can get the baptism of the so they don't know that government is family. And if we want to talk about government, you know, even though they're saying they're saying you don't know how can you have a government? A nation has to have money. Don't know that the resources of the earth, the natural resources, both all the resources and political resources, which is family, right? They don't know that. So if you really want to talk government and you don't know essentially that government is family, which is what this is about, to get you to recognize that government is family, you know, and you want to talk nation, then you're talking nationality. So the whole thing is to get you to claim that. Don't worry about the FRN that you call money. It's going to take care of itself, because that's not money. You see what I'm saying? So they want to skip over the essentials of what government is, governing the mental and what nationality is. They want to skip over that and go straight to what they have been taught to believe is important or is government. It's because they have an establishment that says government, and they have miseducated us regarding it. You see, because if it's a government, it wouldn't injure any of your rights. That's number one. If it's an established entity as government, their purpose would be, as a government entity, their purpose would be to what? Protect, secure, and preserve the rights of the natural people. That's what it would be. Now, if they have some other thing in mind, that's what the wonderful Constitution is about, because it rules, they call law when it's really a statute or ordinance or policy, and they tell you it's law and you believe it. Well, you have an out for that. Once you know better, you do better, because you can't be a member/citizen of that, and they can't infringe upon, which is what Article 6 of that Constitution is telling you. It says it clearly without mincing words. If any state creates any law, or what they call law, right, that abrogates, which means violates, the rules of law already established in this Constitution, then whatever they made has no standing. You see? Now, if we would stand on that, or if we knew that, or whatever, all right, so we didn't for generations. Well, the truth doesn't change your path away. You just have to walk into it and under it and do it, you know? And many may think, well, look, none of that's important because they're doing this and they're doing that, and that's the problem. They're violating those rights, but this is all getting ready to shut down, and you know it. And when it does, civilized principles is what you need to have on your dial plate. That's what we need to have, because it's not about biasing anyone. Anyone who's here, regardless to where they came from, or what their nationality is. The law of the land protects everyone. It already does. So those who have not invested in knowing what that is, when this stuff stops, where are they going to be? They'll be just as uncivilized as they were, but they won't have a buffer anymore to make them feel good about looking into commerce and to other corporate stuff that really has no standing and is not a foundation that they will no longer be able to stand on. You see what I'm saying? They don't know that rug's getting ready to get pulled out from under us. I think that's the way that I want to say it. It's going to get pulled out from under them, just like the FRN, right, are as well. And that's just like people cannot at this point probably imagine that. Well, you can exchange in anything you want. But when you look into the case laws and in the book that you have, unalienable personal property, it's right there. It clearly tells you that the Federal Reserve notes are debt notes that are an obligation to the U.S. That means they're not an obligation to you. So what's going to happen when all of this stuff gets pulled, the rug gets pulled, the wheels stop? So even those who've been milling around in this corporate stuff, thinking that, and mixing up, as we say, their birthrights into commerce, well, that stuff's going to get pulled. Now what? So what we're sharing with you is not something new that we've created or invented or think is or whatever. This is what you need to know when this stops. You're busy doing all this other stuff. And, I've seen people jump over hurdles, just go all the way over here to do any and everything, just not to claim the nationality. For instance, the comment that the person made, why should I nationalize into that? Nationalize into what? It doesn't have any money, and a nation got to have money. You don't know economics. I know that this person does not know economics. They know what they think is economics, right? So just with that, what they're saying is, I would rather go to this, and that than to nationalize. So even if they wanted to say, where's the real money, whatever they want to call real money, right, or whatever they want to call money, where's your nationality, bro? Where is your nationality regardless to what you get involved in? Because that's the call of the day. You know what I'm saying? So they will jump over her. They'll do everything except for confess that. I do get it, but this is what's going down. So, they're talking economics without knowing what economics really are. They're talking money without knowing what money really is. They're talking government without knowing what government really is. And a lot of them are being led down the road, and the rug definitely is going to be pulled out. And again, I say, and I conclude, civics for the rising generation, for civilized people, mothers and fathers, descendants, lineal descendants of the mothers and fathers of civilization and civilization principles. You have got to know that, and not shun it as you have, as many have, running like a hamster on a wheel. That is what is the call of the day. Islam.
Islam.
Mm-hmm. Economics. You don't know what economics is. Oh,
Whenever I hear people talking about, and it's usually it's more conscious or unconscious. They always talk about, we need to be about economic development, or we need to do something to, participate in economic development, or, not know what they're talking about. Because if it wasn't for Asiatic people, if it wasn't for us exchanging Federal Reserve notes so that we can get things that are given free by Mother Nature, if we weren't going out and damn near killing ourselves and selling each other out to get Federal Reserve notes, only to give it right back to the people who gave it to us, there would be no economy. How about if we all took a little bit of those Federal Reserve notes, bought some seeds, and started an outdoor and indoor garden that would sustain us for food? Tell me, what do you think would happen to the neighborhood, to these big grocery store conglomerates? What would happen to them? How about if we changed our diet and went back to the diet of the natural people? Have you run around here talking about we natural people in artificial food? Well, we natural people. How about if we go back to our natural diet for the natural people? What do you think would happen to these institutions now? Because, see, hospitals don't function on their own. You got the hospital, the insurance corporation, the pharmaceutical corporation, Wall Street, because they all investing on Wall Street. If it wasn't for us, our thinking outside of our natural mind, there would be no economy. If you really sit back and look at this thing, you're going to find that we, the natural people, all across the board, we are mentally conditioned to participate in exchange for Federal Reserve notes in an artificial process. How about we just go back to the mindset of our forefathers and function from a natural perspective? What do you think this entire economy, what do you think would happen with it? Where do you think it would go? It's not our economy. It's a foreign economy, and it was made for artificial people. And the artificial people, please don't tell me, oh, well, you got the strong man name, you're artificial. Oh, you're a 14th Amendment citizen. Please don't tell me that, bro, because when I go and read the definition of a person, it tells me that according to the 14th Amendment, it applies to corporations. Please don't tell me that because your name is in all capital letters, you think you're a corporation. Because that is a mental enslavement. If you cut your arm, you're going to bleed. Corporations don't bleed. Not red blood. They might be in the red, profit-wise, but they don't bleed red.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, we have got to put this PN mindset, we seriously got to put it down, because we enslave ourselves and our brothers and sisters. I remember when I first came into this information, and I didn't know, I just had little common sense. I didn't know as much as I know now. I remember hearing this brother say to another Moor who had a traffic ticket, and I hear it today. He said, oh, well, I can't help you because you still a 14th Amendment citizen, and they got you in that all cap strong man name, so I can't help you. I thought that was the dumbest thing I had ever heard. We all got stuff in our appellation, in our name, in all cap letters. We all got it. It don't matter if we disclaimed it today, it's still floating around out there. So what does that mean? We ain't supposed to help our brethren and sisters? Not. And when I say help, I ain't saying we're supposed to do for them, and I'm not saying that we're supposed to sit down and have a wasted time discussion talking about something that we're supposed to be about. We're supposed to be able to advise. Station, put it down, go about our business, go handle your affairs. All right? If you don't want to, people who don't want to handle their affairs, they talk about it all the time. It's not, I'm not knocking it. I understand. You ain't ready. I ain't ready for some things either. I got to talk myself into something too. I understand. Or I comprehend. Put it that way. But, you know, we put ourselves in these boxes. And we have to stop doing that. Are a divine being manifested in the flesh. Everything after that is irrelevant and untrue and ought not to be embraced. At all. Because now you just enslaving yourself. You don't need modern Europeans to enslave you. You enslaving yourself.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
They call you into their meeting room and people running in there. They call the all cat name. Oh, that's not me. That's the straw man. Well, what is that?
No, all they have to do is say X-rail and whatever their
I'm just saying.
national
I mean, what
and
is
keep
that?
them moving.
You know, and then I hear people saying, "Oh, I got a 730 examination." I understand why you got a 730 examination if you running up in these joints talking about that's the straw man. I understand because see, that's not the response. That's not the correct response. And there is no boilerplate response. I know everybody is ready to write down what should you say. There is no boilerplate there. You know, there's not that because everybody's situation is different. Yes, we may have the same. Like for example, one of these municipal employees may approach you for the same reason, but the situation is going to be different. It's going to be different. We could be standing next to each other. It's going to be different because I'm going to say what my spirit tells me to say, and you're going to say what your spirit tells you to say, and that bring out a different outcome. So there's no boilerplate anything. That's why we have to study so that if any situation arises, you can deal with it. That's why we got those writs up on the website. They're not boilerplate. They have way more information than you need so that you can have things at your fingertips, so you can build a library, so that you can look at this and see a format that you can possibly use. That's it. People aren't even reading those documents. I know, because they send me some of them for review, and they got the information from the original person who used it still in there. Which tells me
really?
You didn't review it. You didn't read it. You didn't read it. You didn't analyze it. You didn't study it. You just found a document, filled in the blank, sent it in. That is what modern Europeans mentally conditioned you to do with their forms. But you ain't supposed to be doing that with your own family forms. These are study guides for you. You're supposed to, those documents ain't sitting up there waiting for you to have a need for them. You're supposed to download them and study them. Arise, you know what to do.
Right.
That's called study. Yeah. That's why the prophet said study, study, study. The main reason he's telling you to study is because you got a lot of misinformation in your cranium. And you're the only one that can go in there and do brain surgery and cut it out.
Now, that's when you start using it in the workshop.
Right, you ain't going to know what to cut out if you ain't studying. Like, many people know that the driving instrument is a negotiable instrument. Well, some people think that it's contract. Well, if you think that the driving instrument is a contract, that means you didn't really go and study what the driving instrument really is, because you've got to first study the whole elements that make a contract a contract.
Yeah.
But all of this is done in study. Now, most people, when they come to this information, most of us, many of us, we have a driving instrument. We called it a driver's license. Thought it was pretty all right to have, because that's what we were mentally conditioned in these institutions run by municipal corporations. Now, the first study we did taught us we really didn't need these to travel on the land. That's just the first study. It goes way deeper than that. But just that alone gave you pause. But you can't start operating because you mess around and cut out some stuff you need. You got to study some more so that you can get a full picture. And once you get a full picture, you ought to go back in there and cut out that somebody will bring to you, driver's license is contract. I know because somebody brought it to me. Had me in fear that, oh my God, because I got this contract out there floating around somewhere, I can get snatched up out of the air, like in that movie Taken, where you just like a rubber band was attached to me, and I got swooped back to wherever the contract was, and nobody saw me ever again.
Oh my God, that's not funny.
But a little more stuff, but that's the reality. Like, people are out there today having heart palpitations because somebody convinced you. Fraudulent piece of trash is a contract, and your life is in danger. Like, there's some neon lights, there's a tracking device in there. Any minute they're gonna snatch you up, and you walking around with heart palpitations because you got one in your back pocket or your purse. And
some people feel safer with it.
Whatever it is, I'm just saying, you need to study. Really need to study, because those fears are unfounded. All of the stuff that could have happened to you before you came into this information could have happened to you before. Because the fact that you have this insurance, like all of a sudden you declare yourself. Remember, declaring is in your mind. All of a sudden in your mind you declare that you are and more, meaning, oh my God. Really what it's saying is, oh my God, my nationality comes from my mama. So wherever my mama is, I am. Can't nobody give it to me or take it away. Oh my God, that is amazing. I wish somebody had said this to me years ago. That's like us in the symphony. Right? So now when you realize all of this stuff and you start looking at all of this driving instrument, Social Security, which somebody is going to try and tell you, oh, this is taking away your nationality. No, it's not. It could only trick you into thinking you don't have one. So once you do a little bit of studying and you realize, well, whether I acknowledge it or not, it's flowing in my veins. Can't nobody give it to you. Can't nobody take it away. It is what it is, and it's not up for discussion. So here's something else. You got all these people running around here talking about they didn't acknowledge my documents, so they're not affirming that I'm a Moor. I never asked them to acknowledge I am what's flowing in my veins. I made a statement of fact. not up for discussion. I don't need you to agree, because if we really want to, this is where study comes in, because if we really want to get into a discussion about lineal descent lines, trust me, you will lose. But you only can get to that place if you study. And once you get to that place, you're cool as a cucumber. You ain't even trying to test nobody because you know. Whole different energy. See, when you get to that energy, people don't mess with you.
You know, you said something that I saw as a key, you know, a sliver of light as a key when you said, all right, so, you know, you've been told that the driver's license instrument is whatever, or that it's a license and it's really an instrument, but it's also permission if you are actually doing commerce only. But see, when I think about it, our people are acting in commerce, but at the same time, you said a key here to help people understand that when they say that it is an contract, all right? When they say, and you discover that you hear that it's a contract, well, then the next thing to do would be to really know what, like you said it's really key. What is a contract? Then you would at least from that recognize it's not a contract. So this is like step by step, you know, step by step, which of course requires a study to go and see what a contract is and what a contract is not, what the tenets of a contract is, etc. And if you did that, it would be so much easier for you to recognize that the driver's license is not a contract. Then that might lead you to say, well, then what is it? If it's not a contract, I'm not going to let these people tell me this is a contract when it isn't. So why are they telling me that it is, or why am I thinking that it is? Because they'll tell you anything, and they still may know the truth. But if you're going to believe it, and I used to hate this maxim, but it is a maxim. It says, he who could be fooled, let them. Dave used to say that, and I was like, don't say that, you know, like, that's not the way to leave the people in that place. But the truth is that's really the truth, in that they said it was a contract. You believe it's a contract. You definitely believe it, but it is. So again, once you discover that it's not a contract, then you might ask yourself, what is it, and why do they make me think I'm held to this? Then you would look up and see who really is held to it and why. Then you would realize, that's not me. I'm not driving for finance. Then you would realize I'm traveling. And so then you would look up the rules that go with traveling. Now, why they want to keep you thinking that you're driving and you need this is because that's how they make finance. End of story. That's it, and that's all. That's why they do it. And they have corrupted that, because once you really study and look at the program, the federal program, which is what the driving instrument comes out of, and what the tenets of that is, then you find out not only did they lie to you about what it is and what it is for, they've twisted and, what's the word I'm looking for, deceived you, and not only deceived you, but deceived the Department of Transportation in their reports to them, which comes off of what the program is about. So then you might say, well, gee, why are they doing this? Because they are corrupt thieves. They have cleverly and deceitfully figured out how to continue to make finance and still call themselves government, and then find that the way in which they're making finance, just in this regard alone, well, in many regards, but in this alone, is definitely, without any doubt, human trafficking. You know, and it's cloaked by traffic of commerce of those who are actually driving and need that instrument. They cloak it. It's not trafficking. It's human trafficking that they're doing.
Yes,
but
they've
cleverly cloaked it in that respect. So when you find that out, I would think that you would rather want to straighten that mess out for yourself and your children coming behind you, your posterity, as opposed to talking crap about your brethren when you yourself haven't studied none of this, anything else that another Moor is doing, but you haven't looked into that to see that that's where you need to direct your energy. And if we were to direct our energy into what is true, right, then you know what? I understand why the prophet said it's a breakfast fight. I mean, we keep saying that because we go through the prophecies and figure, why do you say this? We may not have all of them, but we know the ones that do become revelations, and we share it with you, and we share it with each other. And, so it's interesting, right? There is a basis of how to study, because what happens is they believe, first of all, because they believe that these institutions, corporate institutions, who have spread out, created hospitals that are all corporate municipal institutions, created schools that are all corporate municipal institutions, created pharmacies that are all not only corporate municipal institutions, but are also the true drug dealers, for real. You can check into that and you'll find that to be true. And yet they twist, then they twist it and say, you're the drug dealer. Nah, that's the true drug dealer. So when you when you get into it and you really realize what is going on with that, then you realize, well, gee, they can't be government if they're corporations making lying, cheating, not violating the rights of the people, committing human trafficking. Right? Here's the deal: they never knew more that is listening and now, and those who are listening later, that you would ever figure out these facts, because they didn't educate you in the schools that we went to that were there on how to think or even point you in the direction. They pointed you in the direction to believe that they were, who they are not. And they've reduced the people. I said this yesterday. I was talking with someone. I said, wow, these so-called courts aren't even courts. Wow, they've reduced the people and the courts that would be courts if they were. They've reduced it, defiled it, infiltrated it, corrupted it, right? We all see this, right? And they've also reduced, infiltrated, and corrupted the people. And then you got some of your own Moors trying to reduce, infiltrate, and corrupt their own people. They're still doing that right now. They just chitter-chatter, glitter-clatter, slander, and they make idiots of themselves because they don't even know what they're talking about. They talk as an agent for these corporations, and they don't even realize it. They talk as if these places are, well, I won't say they won't realize it, because some people say they do realize that this is what they choose to do. But I do know for a fact some of them are not educated enough at all, trust and believe it. Hands down, they would lose. All they could do is argue, but they couldn't debate. All right, what they call a debate is an argument and not a debate. All right, so because they don't have the information, and because maybe they're getting paid to not have the information, whatever the reasons may be, what ought to be our concern is what we know. And like you said, know yourself, and because you can only be what you know. Period. So so that's what it's about. So I'm saying all this to say that once this is recognized, and it is recognized why people think and believe these places are government, and even if they are a government entity to govern their mental. This is where the distinction comes in, and this is why you have diversity in Article 3. This is why you have Article 6. Because remember, they're occupying on the land. and operating on it. And then they have been able to trick you into believing something that's just not true. That's not true, but you will find, if you see, that the truth does not change or pass away. I remember hearing it in the beginning, that's a CM Bay statement as well, but it's a fact that he just, published. It doesn't change or pass away, and what it is that you're looking for, you already have it. That's the amazing part about it. We already have it. So I was just bringing out how you just, whether you realize it or not, how you just showed a manner in which to study. But I don't know whether, everyone can really get that or not, but I guess it's a matter of where their mentality is. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Danny, these people are commerce down and don't even realize. They just swear that they're doing their nationality and birthright, and they're not, But like I said, the rug will be pulled out. Trust and believe it will, and then, they'll be there naked, and like you said, whether you proclaim by publishing or not, and that means if you're not asking for a response, you're not asking for permission, but whether you did or not, you must have declared. That means be very clear about it, very clear, because you're going to, it's called having it on your dial plate. Like, how sometimes people, not just us, but other people can just call up a case law or at least most of it or something from it just off the top of their head. You know what I'm saying? That's only because they studied. And when they read that case law, it hit them in such a way that it stuck with them because at the time it was what maybe they needed to utilize or what was applying to their situation at the time, And then they realized that it applies to a lot of other people. So you ask, you say, well, there's a case law that says, Tallahassee versus Stapp or, Delaware versus Pros or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? It's only because they looked at it. And I've seen that happen. I mean, you could tell people things, but until they actually look it up and read it for themselves so that it can hit them in the manner in which it needs to be a part of their being or soul, follow the dictates of your soul. You got to add something in there, right? So until they do that, it does not hit them the same way. Don't you agree? It's like you could tell them, but until they just, that's why you publish stuff and you say, okay, look at this. But it's a resistance if your mind believes that these people are government. And it's your law. It's a great law. So it's law.
Right.
Mhm. Oh, and another thing.
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. That's all right. No.
No,
Go ahead and go.
No.
Well, I also have been hearing I've been hearing than before. A lot of people in the church are looking at nationality and birthright matters. And it's interesting because I had someone say that to me, and they were like, yeah, they're in the church, and they want to. I said, look, until they understand religion and know what Christianity that they is and is not, there's no way they can come forth and declare nationality until they have that true exorcism and baptism of understanding Christianity, because that has held them so tightly. You understand what I'm saying? Like most people in that arena certainly was under that yoke and without knowing what it is. So I would highly suggest if you have people who are in the church, and I'm going to do a I don't know, either a PowerPoint or actually we're going to do something, and I know Ms. will probably put it up on Master View where we break that down, and it will be dedicated for all them good morals in the church, because remember that the prophet said some of the best morals, but I say again, if you're coming out of that and you have any interest, you got to understand that which was that what Christianity is and is not before you make any step. Before you make any step towards claiming a nationality. And why do we say that? We have Moors who are Moors, like you have always said, and they proclaim, and they still think that they are Christian. They're still patriotic with that, because we can show you. You can show yourself, really, if you did the study. You just don't know where to begin. But I would say begin with Constantine, who is absolutely the father of Christianity, just so you can clear that mess up, that it wasn't Jesus in that respect, that Christianity as a religion. And then the Christian Crusaders, slightly different but the same, because one is carried on. Remember, it was the Christian religion that they said that their God, that it was all right to kill anybody who doesn't accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior, and their version of Jesus as being the Lord and Savior, and their version of Christianity. So if that's what their God said, and if that's what the underlying of the Christianity, their Christian religion is, you know what I'm saying? So go first and be clear that was not established by Jesus.
Right.
However, the Circle 7 Holy Quran says in it, this book is for all those who love Jesus. Knowing who Jesus is, we know that's the code word for justice. However, that doesn't mean that it's attached to Christianity, because Jesus, Yeshua, wasn't a Christian. Certainly not of the Christian religion. In the Bible that they read every day, they called him a rabbi. How about that? You know what I mean?
The Christian religion, as people know today, wasn't even invented at that time.
Well, no,
it hadn't been created yet.
That's my point exactly. Making sure that we understand that Christ is the Son, S-U-N. Now, if you don't believe that, this is what's interesting. If you don't believe that Christ is the Son, S-U-N, go look up Constantine, who was truly the father of Christianity, and check what he was doing once he established the Christian religion. And the first thing he said is, please stop hanging us. So there you go right there. There's another indication, a side note, and an affirmation as to who was the original slaves. And now you go to understand why the prophet said Christianity was for their earthly salvation, not yours, Lord. Because I just told you, if you look up Constantine, he said the first thing was please stop hanging us. That's what it's right here. You could go on Wikipedia and look up Constantine and find that. He said that. He said for the Jews to stop hanging them, but the Jews are us. You know that, and that's not Jews, it's Hebrews. So that's what he said. So now this is where you piece together study. Oh, shoot, he's saying right here they were being hung. Who was hanging them? It certainly wasn't them hanging them. And so then you get to understand why Christianity was established for their earthly salvation. And then you also will find that on the coins that they had, that Constantine had in circulation, it tells you he left the sun, the image of the sun, S-U-N, on those coins. And then later they changed the image, but it's right there. These are all keys. So again, I say, Christianity was established for their earthly salvation, not yours. Islam.
All right. Joe, you got anything you want to add? You've been awfully quiet before I open the phone line.
No, I'm good. I'm just taking it in stride right now.
How's it going in Canaan land, Alex?
Everything's peaceful. The usual.
Right. Yeah, the usual.
Doing the do. Yeah, the usual. You know how it goes. Well, great show, by the way. Great class.
All right.
Got to pay the notes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
we
right.
got to keep it in line with all the craziness going on and the diversions.
Yeah.
And,
Got that right.
Yeah.
Got that right.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
That's another thing, too.
All right. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, going back to asking yourself, what does it mean when you study yourself, like knowing that we're Moors, knowing that we're Americans or I'm Moroccans, that even Canaan land is connected to, it's the same, we're the same people, because these certain people who have been, trying to disrespect in certain aspects as if, they're the only way and that's it, discredit the fact that, Canaan land, they can't be Moors, they're immigrants with no knowledge of geography. You know what I'm saying? Like,
geography.
And what I'm saying is to just know that, all of that is your ancestral state, to be able to think bigger than, some European.
But wait a minute.
I'm just laughing.
Wait a minute.
I'm laughing too. That's the newest thing.
I mean, but wait now. Canada, please. Canada is a corporation. Mexico is a corporation. But the land from Mexico straight through to the Americas to what is called Canada, though that's not the landmass of these corporations.
It's North America.
That's like saying, wait a minute, that's like saying the McDonald's over in China, all right, that's McDonald's land.
Yeah.
That's like and you can't be a Moor unless you're a member of McDonald's.
That's what they're saying.
Well,
wait a minute, hold on.
I mean, and then you can't be family because you're a member of McDonald's. That right there, what that's telling you is people are so saturated with the whole fraud and mindset of a corporate construct that even when you tell them you're a Moor and they sign on the dotted line and say, hey, I'm declaring my Moorish nationality, they're still stuck in this corporate mindset.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Well,
I just wanted to say. I just wanted to say, because I didn't know, because I heard what you said. So I guess the latest thing is these infiltrating agents scurrying out from under the, the trash. Hey, now they're saying is that
the continuing saga of infiltrator.
We got to find a good name for them.
Go back to the Moriscos.
And keep this in mind too. Remember when we went to the so-called African American Museum, that it was a part towards the end on the first one that was a map, and it showed the Northwest Territory, showing you on multiple occasions that none of what you think this is, if you're talking about more science and going back to that ancient state of mind of our foremothers and forefathers, that would go back to your connection to the land too, knowing that all of that is colonial imposed perceptions of the planet Earth. So that's not even real. Like it's not even real. So to be subjected to that thinking goes to show the limits or the box that their mentality is in, to even think like that. And I understand, but what happened was we all understand that a lot of people have been, and it's sad because they, these are grown people at this point who have been robbed of a knowledge of geography and astronomy, all of these things, because this is used to victory as above, so below on the plane. So to know that everything is one really is a concept that goes beyond any man-made imposed boundaries of a planet that, basically we all a product of. Like, nobody's superior to the original people. So, and another thing, when we was in the museum and that map was showing the Northwest Territories, okay, we saw that it wasn't all colonized. So that's a new mind state. It's modern. But also it tells you right in there about, biggest day on the wall, it quotes the Declaration of Independence. And as far as, not having to consent to the colonial powers if you don't choose to. If you do, that's a choice. You can consent and everything is a go, if anything. But, yeah, so.
I just said I didn't get my thought up because I'm hearing that apparently these people who don't read the prophet's work, who don't study the prophet's works, but prop up and say they do, haven't read chapter 47 on the where they give geographics and define whatever, are trying to say. I'm laughing, but it's not funny. That Canaan land, which is North America, foreign, they gotta be. Please tell me that they're not that ridiculous in their presentment to all these people who are trying to come in, the hordes of Moors who are coming in to this consciousness, that they are actually going to tell them that. See, this is only proof. Let me tell you what it proves. It proves that these people are about the modern European constructs and corporations that they have established. That's all that it proves, because it totally goes against any, like you said, geography and any. Look, we're the mothers and fathers of civilization on the entire planet, all four corners. Prophet Nubu Ali, A Message to America, gave you a key to go on over and check out what you've done, the Taj Mahal, the Alhambra. He's giving you the keys for you to recognize. He says you have an illustrious history, all of that. And these fools is sitting there, these Moriscos, for real, they're Moriscos, in their mind, body, and soul, are going to stay and try, I guess, to discredit Cujo's work, that it's foreign, so therefore he don't count. Please tell me that that's not what they're doing then. Yes, Albie.
But meanwhile, they found Olmec heads in Canaan land, what they call Canada. Meanwhile,
oh my God. The prophet himself was, oh my God, has the letters right on the site.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. On the Canaan Land Wars page. But, all right. That don't ruffle. I know that don't ruffle Cujo's feathers. He just got to do what you got to do. I just feel bad for those who come in. Huh?
I said pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. Right. This is real talk time now, right? So they told us, to me, they're going to the bottom of the barrel to pull out stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that means you it's about rising to the cream rising to the top now, right? Because if you're really going to go that low, all they're really doing is exposing exactly how much they do not know. That's it. That's it, and that's all. That's a new one on me, but anyway. Moving along. It's tiring, ain't it?
All righty. Yeah. So at this time, what we will do is take callers. It is 11:19. The internet feed is going to go down at 11:30. Also, if you drop off, you will not be able to call back in. And if you want to pick up and listen to the last hour, then you need to call in now. Or if you don't call in, or if you can't get in, wait until 12:30, after 12:30, and download the archives, and you can listen to the last hour. So if anyone has a question, comments, concerns, press 1 on your telephone dial, and we will take the calls in the order that they are received. Now, what I will suggest is if you have questions, press 1 now. Because what I'm noticing is, we got like 5 minutes left to the broadcast, and that's when everybody seems to press 1 on their telephone dial. So, we want to hear what you have to say. We just, we're giving information, but, this is a bill. So we want your feedback. We want to know if this information is working, if there's information that you found out that you want to add on to, but just don't wait until like 5 minutes before the line is going to go down to press 1, because we're probably not going to be able to get to your call. So press 1 now. All right. So caller 215-913. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Mexico.
Doesn't make you an official NBA player.
All right. They must have walked away from their phone. All right. So let's see. Our next caller 571-246. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, we can hear him, and then he just went away.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
we
hear
can
you.
hear you. We can hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Greetings, and it's Lawrence, second L, northwest of Mexham, near the corporate construct of Virginia. And greetings to everybody. Whoever on the panel would like to answer this question, I have a question. And the question is, I've been testing the waters about nationality a little bit through small talk with some friends in the family. And I asked the gentleman about nationality, and he told me that Stonewall Jackson was in the family and that they had papers on this, and the man that I was talking to, of course, was a copper-colored person like myself. Mm-hmm. So just because you get the kind of feedback that Stonewall Jackson is in your family, does that change anything if they had relations with any of the women and they had baby, then there's a generation that happened? Are the people still Moors? Would they still be Moors?
Oh, I'd like to answer that. I'd like to answer that to my extent.
Okay.
There was a lot of mixing. What you will find is a European male would, well, first of all, nationality is determined by your mother. So that's it and that's all. Whatever your mother is, that's what you are. Now, and if you do that, no matter how you do it, it all comes out correct. But there was a lot of mixing of modern Europeans. They usually got with a Moabite woman, and that's how they gained anything that they received. Like, even if you read the story called Rebecca with what's his name, John? What was his name, guys? John Smith. Right.
Oh, okay.
He married Mataoka. He took Mataoka off, had a child. She had a child. Yeah. The child, coming from a Moor, a Moabite woman, that child is what she is, and that's how they stole a lot of the property and stuff that was going on. That is repeated you come to Delaware, the DuPont, the Rockefellers, go through their history, and you will find that in their line, they got with a Moabite sister. That's a mother. That's how they did that. So That's it. So whatever your mother is, it doesn't matter who the father is in that respect. Whatever she is what the child is. That's national and international.
Okay. Now, thank you for that answer, and that clears up some things. Now, on my mom's side, my mom is very light-skinned. Mm-hmm. Her mother is very light-skinned, but after you go beyond my grandmother, I'm not sure. People may probably start or maybe dark-skinned also, and they claim that John Quincy Adams was in our family. Nobody can produce papers. Still, it's the same. Just because if he was, it doesn't change that we are Moors. I am a Moor, and I really understand that my family was already here before that boat, the peace boat that came. And
Ellis Island? Are you talking Ellis Island? Are you talking Ellis Island boat? Are you talking the Ellis Island? All right, but the Ellis Island. But the Ellis Island boat, see, this is what has to be clear. The Ellis Island boat is not the original bringing over of the Slavic, or what people call white people, and they're modern Europeans. They originally came over as the slaves by the British, which is why they asked for their independence from the British, which are brutish Moors. However, the Ellis Island boat, They only want to go to the Ellis Island boat, and even with that, those who came over on the Ellis Island boat are the descendants of those slaves, those modern Europeans who came here who were not free, and that's why they rejoice so much in coming here and with only the shirt on their back to a land where they could be free because they gained their independence because the Moroccan Moors, did the Treaty of Peace and Friendship to allow them to sail without being molested, and they gave them the law of the land, of which, of course, they had violated. But this is what the Ellis Island group is. So anybody, so you could say my people were here before Ellis Island, and that doesn't mean that because they were born here before Ellis Island immigration, that makes your people Americans or Al-Moroccans or Moors. I just want to make that real clear because this is why they only take you back to Ellis Island without letting you know that those are the residual lineal descendants who came here because they could be free after all that went down. So, and it's clear that like if I was born in China doesn't make me Chinese. You are whatever your nationality, whatever your mother is.
Right, but by the way, I wanted to just say that my family, none of them were near Ellis Island. Nobody was close to Ellis Island. We're further north of Ellis Island, probably in the middle part of the corporate state of Virginia. At any rate, this was a great class. It's really helping, and this is my last comment. It's like hundreds of years of suppression that's happened, and I think about what my ancestors did to make it possible for me to be here right now, sitting here talking to you, and it's kind of like I don't know what to make of it, but my mind, I'm doing something to free my mind. I know that, and it's going to take time, I'm sure, but I'm getting free of some of the things. Yeah, and I'm a Moor. Can't nobody take that away from me. Even if you all on the panel didn't agree.
Let me ask you a question. Why would you say that someone? Why would you say that someone would? Well, you put it out there. I mean, we read very well between the lines, brother. Why would you say that?
Okay.
You there?
Okay. Yeah, I'm here. You're going to ask me a question.
No, I'm saying to you, why would you say even if someone doesn't believe it? Do people call you a quote unquote white person or what we would call a modern European? I mean,
people. My doctor that I go with, I'm dealing with right now. I'm on medical leave. We got into conversation about nationality, and he looked across at me while we were talking, and he said, when I told him about nationality, he said, "You're black." He told me that, and I said, "No, I'm a Moor," and I told him, "You can't prove or disprove that." And he was quiet after that. He didn't say too much, but he was glad to have met me and that I know my nationality. Sometimes I get challenges. I don't know if I ever get called like a white person because I don't think you don't call somebody white that's copper colored, do you?
No,
not.
I was asking you. We're trying to read between what you were saying. I am okay. All right. I think I got you now. Right. So if you were considered black, lower colored, or African American, and or other, or you could have considered yourself that, or other people considered you that, and now you're saying, no, I'm a Moor. All right. Now I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. Now I understand.
Let them know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'll tell you what. Listen, I'm gonna tell you what to do.
Okay.
In the Webster's, I believe it's Webster's. I don't have the book on, but on the back of our "Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry" book, we scanned in, and in it says, when you look up more, it says those who we have now nicknamed Negro. So that right there just destroys the Negro-colored black thing just in that right there. And I don't know if you have that book, but you can look it up in, where did we get that from? Encyclopedia, I think it was Webster's. But it does say that. It says, it tells you who the Moors are, and then it says those who we now nickname Negro. And that would be really good for you to utilize and to show someone, all right?
Okay. Thank you very much. It's a great class. I'm listening in. Someday I'll come in and I'll comment of things I'm learning because I'm just taking in a lot of things about the Moabites and Canaan and things like this from some really extraordinary black teachers, and so it's very fascinating. Thank you, and I yield the floor for someone else.
Peace and love, brother.
Peace, Islam.
All right. Islam.
All right, caller 3212. Hold on a minute. 321. 280. You're live on the air. Please say your appellation at Northwestern Accent.
Greetings, Islam family.
Islam.
Hello. Yes, I'm calling from the Orlando, Florida area.
Mhm.
Yes, and before I get into my question, I just want to thank you all, family, for spreading the word and giving the proper teaching and understanding to freeing ourselves in this battle.
All right.
And that's just, someday we will conquer that by standing firm, gaining wisdom and being humble. And like you said, study. So I just want to thank you all for that and what you guys are doing. And I just want to get into the situation with my king. He's been kidnapped for about a year and 8 months, and I just need some legal advice when dealing with immigration court and how to go about appeal.
Yourself, or you said Hakeem? Did you say your friend has been kicked out?
Yes.
Kicked out of what? You mean they're calling him an immigrant?
He's located in Glades County Detention Center, immigration. And the judge has assigned him to file for an appeal. So I just want to know how to go about that when dealing with immigration court. I just needed some legal advice.
Where do they say he is an immigrant from?
He lives here in Orlando, Florida.
Yeah, but why are they calling him an immigrant? Where do they say he immigrated from?
He's from Jamaica.
Oh, well, that's America. That's
right.
That's what you have. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So they gave him a 30-day notice. He went to court this month on the 15th, and he has a 30-day notice on filing for an appeal. So I just needed some advice on that, some legal advice on how to go about it.
I mean, I wouldn't say it would be legal advice, but more so you want to stick with the law. Stick with the law because specifically international law. I mean, I haven't ever dealt with a quote-unquote immigration court, but I'm hearing about this at alarming rates right now. I know Trump had that agenda and everything, but people that I've known at 7, all of a sudden now they're saying that they immigrants and all of this here. This is just like that situation seems to be popping up frequently, more frequent than ever. And, I would stick with the fact, going back to what we said again, territorial jurisdiction and, understanding that Jamaica is a part of America or Morocco. So, again, I wouldn't say it's legal advice. That's just the lawful fact. That is the heritage. That goes back to the heritage, of what that being's mother was, etc. And, the fact that it is, in fact, a part of America. And that's the trick that they play with the United States. That's one of the key tricks that they play with the territorial jurisdiction as far as the difference between the United States of America and America, the land, the lands and islands, the adjoining islands itself. And we could go back and say it's a mix of Morocco, etc. However, on the geographical map, you can see that these are all American lands. Yeah, and then you look at the definition of that. I would just, in that situation, all I could really say is what the prophets have said the whole time is just be yourself. I wouldn't know what else to say, but you have to know. So.
Well, I would say you're correct, Ms. Absolutely. And one of the things, because you're saying you're noticing how that's the topic of the day, first we have to understand, too, that a lot of the people, probably including your friend in the past, has believed that they were from Jamaica and traveling or immigrated to North America, Orlando, or wherever that eastern seaboard, southern end there, which is or Florida, or what they call Florida today. So in the past, many people have agreed with that, just as we have here in many people who are Moors here, Aboriginal and Indigenous, have also agreed that we live in one of these union states. Same thing. But when you understand that someone who leaves there, and this should help a lot, someone who leaves their homeland. And keep in mind that what you call Jamaica is still America, all right? Who leaves their homeland, they are immigrant. So in order for him to be an immigrant, he has to at one point first been an immigrant with an E instead of an I. All right? So if he's an immigrant wherever he lands, then he becomes an immigrant. That's what immigrants are. They leave their homeland, and then wherever they land, wherever they end up at, then they are definitely immigrants. So if he's coming from any part of American land, north, south, central, and or the adjoining islands, and then he was never an immigrant, and he could never be an immigrant. But because they're talking corporate, U.S.A. on paper corporation only trying to make a claim to the land, and because other people say, yes, I'm coming to the U.S.A. Somewhere in many people's travels and doings, they have agreed that they have come to the U.S.A. So change all that, because he was never an immigrant to ever become an immigrant. The only people who were truly immigrants are the modern Europeans. Ellis Island is definitely proof of that, and anyone who's not Aboriginal to the land, and of course they're not Aboriginal to any land. So they are the true immigrants, and this is how they flip the script and make everyone who is actually Aboriginal to the land. But again, important in words. If you say I'm coming to the U.S.A. that really doesn't exist as a land, then they're going to play that game with you. Okay. They're going to play that game. So that's what has to be reversed. Understanding that and writing up something is in regards to that position.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
And also, can I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
When doing that as well, does he file for a briefing by choice? Briefing?
She's breaking up.
They're asking him to file for a briefing as well. So does he file for a briefing by choice?
What they're doing is giving him an opportunity to state his matter in his case. And you're asking what do I say? Because he has to rebut whatever that they're saying. Just as what I just said.
Right.
Being a part to it, he has to make that, his position. That's the briefing, a brief on what's going down. You know what I'm saying? And if he doesn't, and he just agrees or continues to agree, sometimes you have to make a writ of error. He was in error. He was never an immigrant, and neither did he immigrate. He realized he's on the American land and not the U.S.A. It's a rebuke all of that.
Right.
Otherwise he goes along with it and they do what they will with them.
Right. Okay.
So when they say, would you want to file for a briefing, they're asking him what you got to say about this, boy. That's what they're asking him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it can't be just said. It has to be in writing so that it becomes substantial evidence of the position that he's taking.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Basically what it's saying, like, they're debating on which party should win.
No, they're asking him, why do you think you should win?
Okay.
Is that he has to have a position, a standing of some kind, because if he doesn't and he leaves it up to them, they're going to roll right over him. Because he hasn't said anything to rebuke or rebut anything, any claim that they're making. They're saying he's an immigrant, and he's not. He has to show that I'm not. I never was. And even if I thought I was, I just found out nunc pro tunc, I'm not. Nunc pro tunc, meaning now for then. It's 3 words. NUNC, PRO, TUNC. Now for then. You know what I mean? And that what they're asking is, what's his position? What say you about this matter? He got nothing to lose in all the games.
Right. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And my last question is, when he does do his write-up, does he send it to the Supreme Court or?
I don't know that much about immigration court. I mean, do you know anything about immigration court?
There is no such thing. There is no such thing as immigration court.
Right.
That's got to be another municipal venue.
It is a municipal venue. So would she? So then he would send or make a federal. Actually, that should be a federal situation. They don't have the authority to determine who's immigrants and who's not. They're the immigrants. The people that are charging them is an immigrant. They're the immigrants.
Right. Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So just federal, or do you send it off to anyone else?
I would think that he would do the same protocol as anything else. But I think that he should put it into, I guess, the federal court, because, like you just said, there's no such thing as an immigration court, really.
Okay.
Because his civil liberties are being infringed upon right now. But like the hope and the energy is really from him and what he said. Whether you type it up for him or not or whatever, but I'm just saying he's got to fight for his position and he has to know it. You know what I'm saying? He has to know it. But as Ms. said, they're going on a kick with that. So I guess this will be the next thing, because they're trying everything they can to get rid of as many people as they can. And this is a time when we need to stand on, our birthright. This is the time. Everything is being tested. And how we just explained it is the way that it is. And that's why when we go to other countries, to the other part of America, South America, Central America, they already know. Like my niece.
That's what it all is. It boils down to jurisdiction. Personam and territory. Like, that's not slight.
Yes.
It's a lawful point. Law. And to declare your nationality and know, who you are. Like, and this is why, again, it goes back to, being careful of those cutting off, our international, our family, like, outside of the colonial borders of the United States of America, quote unquote. You know what I mean? When you see people trying to cut that connection off, something wrong with that, because we all, from Alaska all the way down to Chile and all the islands, all of these places, this is our ancestral state, and that is a lawful point in law. That is something to bring up in that situation.
I think you're right. The most important thing, and what you're saying, the most important thing is, and I think this will help, meditate on this yourself, have him meditate on it or whatever. He is not coming, nor is he in the U.S.A.
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
I said he is not coming, nor is he in, or he never came to, nor is he in the U.S.A.
Okay.
See, here's the thing. You're saying that this person is alleging to be from Jamaica. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Jamaica is a corporation. Could never possibly be from Jamaica. Saying he's from Jamaica, he's literally saying he is the property of the corporation known as Jamaica.
Yep.
His lineal bloodline is whatever his mother's bloodline is. So when they ask, well, where do you come from? You come from your mother. Where were you born? From her womb.
Right. Okay.
Real
he's
talk.
He's not a part of any corporation. See what they're saying. What they're saying, without saying it, is the corporation known as Jamaica owns him. Therefore, we have to send him back to his owner. That's unconstitutional. That's human trafficking. That's your argument.
Okay.
The Constitution is for everybody. He has the rights of the United Nations human rights, Convention on Human Rights states that you have a right to leave your home and return to it under your own power, which means everybody has the right to travel and go wherever the hell they want to, stay as long as they want to, and return. And nobody can tell you that or imply that you are some corporation's property.
Right.
Unless you confess it from your own. And that's why I said a lot of people have confessed that from their own without knowing. Saying, oh, yeah, I'm from Jamaica. Or I'm from, whatever, wherever. And that's what they're going by. So that must be corrected.
Right.
Right. I'm you know what I mean? It's American land. North, South, Central, and the adjoining islands.
But that's quite a lengthy look. That's all about him having the necessary information. Because, Sister, I hear you're gathering this information for him, and hats off to you. But he is the one that's going to have to defend it.
Have to know.
You're not going to be able to speak on it at all. And the fact that you're calling instead of him tells me one or two things.
He's incarcerated. He's incarcerated.
I said that it tells me one or two things. Either he is not prepared to speak, he has been kidnapped and is being held hostage. Now, once you're in the belly of the whale, you gotta run real fast. And you can't pass him information while he's being held hostage, because whatever you tell him in terms of a strategy, they're going to be sitting right there listening.
That's why I told her, just tell him, look, he never came here. Maybe he'll get it.
Before you can even tell him a strategy, they already blocking it because they listening too. You're going to have to come up with some way to get the information to him without them being privy to it. But it's 11:53, and I thought we had a couple more callers.
Okay.
But this will be this will be a very lengthy and detailed discussion, and I don't know how much of it you would even be able to pass on to him. Because even if you go to the prison, I believe you have to talk through some sort of a phone, right?
Yes. Well, he got transferred there. He was last year he was in Orange County, and he fought that case and that trial. So he's in the process of immigration now. So he's all the way in Fort Lauderdale, about 3 hours away from me. And I haven't visited him yet, because I usually visit him close by because of the distance and car issues. But I do talk to him every day. Every single day I talk to him. But I will find a way to be there.
Give him a little piece of everything. Give him a little. That's what he said. He never came to USA. And maybe he'll figure it out if he has any studies under his belt.
Yes. Well, I thank you guys for that information and just giving me the courage to speak out, because I'm not really that much of a speaker, but I have to overcome that.
Well.
Yeah. So, I just want to thank you guys for pushing us to handling our affairs and standing firm and humble at the same time. Peace and love, family.
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah.
All right. I think we got caller 443-376. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at. Oh, wait a minute. Caller 443-376. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest of Mexico.
Islam, beloved family. I am Hassan Ghazi Obed, Northwest of Mexico. How's the family?
Islam, fine. How are you?
Doing great. I'm glad you mentioned that about, the Moors coming out of the church, right? And I just wanted to be real brief with what I wanted to say, and then touch on I think what the last sister was talking about, because as that sister was saying what she was saying, another sister had called my phone about the same situation. So if it's all in the air, it's definitely all on our minds and vice versa. Just so very briefly from a dissertation on personal property, okay, page 20 by Mother Anna Ida L. It says here, always remember, the first order of business and the last order of business is nationalization. It is imperative that you nationalize first by declaring you are a national citizen so that you can take your seat among the affairs of man. In bold, it says next, you cannot take your seat if you cannot defend your nationality. You cannot take your seat and defend your nationality if you must call on someone else to handle your affairs. In taking that position, you affirm that you are incompetent to handle your affairs and you remain a minority. Let us also take heed and action regarding Noble Drew Ali's command to study. So I wanted to add from that. I'm kind of like just making a correlation. I want to be brief because I know other people won't get on, so I already kind of practice this in my head. So you go to page 38 of Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry? So we just read from Mother Anna Ida's dissertation on personal property on page 20 about what, the order of the day is. So on page 38 of Are You in Denial of Your Ancestry, it says at the top of it, with the exception of brief periods, there was, however, no strong central government. The power was split up among dissenting local leaders and factions. And the author's note, it says, this indicates that Moors fought with each other for ruling power. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of pull that out because that's what we're living. We're living a result of family, I wouldn't say family feuding because that would have to deal with, like, feudalism, but it is. But it's more like dealing with not honoring our ancient foremothers and forefathers so that we can bring ourselves back to the constitutional fold of government as the prophet has so prudently prescribed, which leads me to my last part here, bringing the people back into the constitutional fold of government, page 14. The failure to erect schools. Aside from Sunday school and Friday night public meetings, one of the obvious disobedience to the prophet's instructions is the failure to erect schools as a part of the temple. This is why we have Moorish Heritage and History School, in my opinion, because of the lack thereof of the temples that were compromised. Okay, COINTELPRO, whatever the case may be. Okay, so for those people that are out there too talking about, oh well, Temple Moors ain't really with y'all people that's with Taj and RV Bay publication. Well, if you're a real Temple Moor, then you would have well, I won't say that. You would have the complete knowledge that the planet is the temple of the sun and moon. If I'm not mistaken, just correct me if I'm wrong. So we're always on, in, or whatever when it's concerning the temple. The temple is also your mind and your head. So if anybody is only trying to centralize it to a brick and mortar situation, that's still kind of exhibiting amnesia a bit. But just really quickly, this was deliberate and calculated, and is one of the greatest mistakes of failing to carry out the prophet's program. He instructed the erection of schools for a very, very good reason. These schools were to be instituted apart or aside from Sunday school and the Friday night meetings as an institution unto itself to reduce the conflict of interest found in the corporate state public schools, which does not teach proper civics, history, culture, or ancient principles of the forefathers and mothers. So I'm going to yield the floor on just that reading right there for the family to go and check those, just those three right there. I mean, the information that we really need as a family first, and all statements and prophecies, number one. I brought you everything it takes to save a nation. Now take it and save yourself. When the prophet was telling the Moors this, he was holding up a copy of the Circle 7 Holy Quran for the Moorish Science Temple of America and a 101 questionnaire to show the books that we need to save ourselves with. So very quickly and very briefly, I remember, and because I'm still, fairly new, still going through my exorcism and baptisms as well, but nobody wrote my writs. I was on RV Bay Publications and still am on RV Bay Publications, because just because I may have been on the Open Readings page or the Writs of Freedom page in my first year, everything reads differently every year you mature in this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and I might have been reading different things for different situations at whatever was at hand at that moment. Okay, if you do get the dissertation on personal property, you will really see the importance of our right to travel being hindered. So there are a lot of brothers, including the sisters.
All of a sudden we got an echo from you. All of a sudden there's an echo from you. Yeah. Okay, there.
I have no idea why, because I'm on a landline. Okay. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's all right. Go ahead. It's gone now.
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's gone now. It just
okay, sweet. And I'll wrap this up really quickly. So what's happening is the making of a slave. What's happening is it's a lot of mothers now, and I'm telling you because I'm experiencing it, seeing it, and having the phone calls. The sons are being kidnapped. They're using the land conveyance to do so. Okay? When people say, oh, you got this record or things of that nature, that is slander. Okay? Whatever they call a record or whatever, it's slander. Okay? And we should be discovering these things for our record so that we will have what we need of what is who and who is who, so that we can, be in honor in countering these people. However effectively that can be for whomever situation, as you'll find out by the dictates of your soul as you do so, as I had to do for my situation, that I didn't call Brother Taj or Mother Anita or Roz or Cujo and Miz and was like, hey, yo, can you write me a writ? I didn't do that. I had to check my energy. Thank you again, Mother Anita. I had to check my energy and really see, all right, yo, chill out. Am I really about this life or not? That's really what I had to do. I had to reflect on me. You see what I'm saying? And what I'm realizing is that I'm seeing people make the same mistakes that I made, and I'm really realizing the truth of man knows not by being told. So we really got to study, because that's the only shortcut.
That's the only shortcut. You damn right.
It is.
You did.
It really is. But I digress, and I yield the floor, family. I love you. Every week y'all are doing me something great. I don't know if everybody else ain't quote unquote taking advantage of it. But yeah, I'm like a kid a child, let me say that, with popcorn, sitting Indian style every week. So I love y'all. Islam, peace, and love.
Thank you. Islam. And thanks for making that. He made a good correlation with putting together 3 or 4 different resources. So what he also proved is, anybody who rebukes information like that, like from those temples or whatever, that are supposed to have the schools for the reasons told, then it's just clear that they're just corrupted and infiltrated. End of story, done. Move on. And that's why the prophet said, if you're with a group of Moors and they're not doing right, leave them and go to another. If you're looking for some building and camaraderie or whatever like that, it's not a big deal. It's just what you have to do. And he also said, if you are the only one, guess what? Just be the only one, whatever. Islam.
Indeed.
Love.
All right.
And the other thing correlating with that, because that's all facts. But when he was mentioning too about the and there's no disrespect to the institution, but reducing it to the salvation is solely there in no other way, it's sad because, and it's a disservice to what Noble Drew Ali was saying when he was talking about the fact that all nations were seeking to obtain peace, but it's only one way. I mean, and that's going to be obtained, and that's through the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice being taught to all nations in all lands, right? So that right there tells you again that it's outside of just the construct of that institution. You feel me? Like all of that. Even when people say they are, representing the Moore Science Temple of America, there's nothing against it, but to do a disservice and act like there's nothing else. You feel me? It's no other way you're going to be saved, even though there's a lot of salvation there. Don't get what I'm saying twisted. I'm just saying that that's false. Like, it's not that you can't get the Gnostic wisdom from all over the universe, really. So that's another point I wanted to point out as far as everything we were saying. That was a perfect add-on. So for sure, yes.
Islam, thank you.
Yep.
All right, Islam. All right. So I think this might be our last caller, or it may be the caller that we previously took. Caller 321280. Are you waiting to ask a question, or did we already take your question?
Yes, you already took my question. I was just listening.
All right.
Thank you.
So then that is, you're welcome, peace. All right, so I guess that is our last caller. So it is 12:06, and we can go ahead and end this broadcast. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening, for listening, participating. I trust that what was given tonight was helpful. If nothing, I hope it inspires everyone to go and research the municipal corporations that are around them. And we shall see you tomorrow for Morris Heritage and History School at 7:30. And don't forget, Sons of Allah this Thursday at 9 p.m. All right? Peace and love to everyone listening.
All right.
Peace, man.
Okay.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotext that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most elite. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them gods don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, then they niggered us right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too strong, love a core, Marcus Garvey, your ass. No, but you are leading, God body the man. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov counter burns faster, so I like the match. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so here's the roof, so you can that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit him low. Try to calcify my third eye, or you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Don't go inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so don't believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening, or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word more. And that's another thing. Because we weren't called black. That the description, maybe, black or more or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the day they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the day they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the King Alpha plan and it's set in full effect. The butler, the help, in 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit about me. Roz Mariah, Anna Eve, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland. Listen to them speak. I done learned from the best. I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb has given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was like, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. That's what, and I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived
Absolutely.
in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.
Attention outlet shoppers. Right now, save 50 to 70% off everything for the family at Gap factory stores and online. With shorts from $14.99 and